You make decent money. You're not irresponsible. You don't blow your paycheck on obvious luxuries. And yet, at the end of every month, you're wondering where it all went. The balance is roughly the same as last month, maybe a little less. And you can't point to anything specific that you did wrong because the problem isn't any single purchase or expense. It's habits, 7 of them specifically. And they're so deeply embedded in how you interact with money that you don't see them as habits at all. They feel like normal life, like the way everyone manages money. But they're not universal behaviors. They're patterns. And they're the exact patterns that separate people who stay stuck from people who build wealth. Here's what makes these 7 habits so insidious. None of them feel like bad habits. They don't look like overspending. They don't feel like mistakes. Each one has a perfectly logical justification that makes it seem reasonable in the moment. And that's exactly why they persist, year after year, decade after decade, quietly draining somewhere between $300,000 and $800,000 from your lifetime wealth without ever triggering a single alarm. My name is Max, and I want to help you learn how to make your money work more for you in your life. This channel is about identifying the invisible behaviors that keep smart people stuck financially. The patterns you can't see because they feel normal. If you've ever thought, I should be further ahead by now, subscribe, because what I'm about to describe is almost certainly part of the answer. So here's the conventional understanding of why people stay poor. They spend too much. And that's occasionally true. Some people do have a spending problem. But the majority of people who aren't building wealth don't have a spending problem. They have a habit problem. The difference matters. Spending problems are about amounts. You buy too much stuff. Habit problems are about patterns. The way you interact with money guarantees certain outcomes regardless of how much or how little you buy. Think of your financial life as a river. A spending problem is like dumping water out of the river. Dramatic, visible, fixable. A habit problem is like the riverbed itself being tilted in the wrong direction. The water flows backward, slowly, constantly, and you can't fix it by adding more water. You have to change the tilt. The 7 habits I'm about to describe are the tilt, and changing them doesn't require earning more, spending less, or developing superhuman discipline. It requires structural adjustments that redirect the flow. But here's where it gets really interesting. The first habit, paying yourself last. This is the most common and most expensive financial habit in America. Here's how it works. You get paid, you pay rent, you pay bills, you buy groceries, you live your life. And if there's anything left at the end of the month, which there usually isn't, you save it. This is paying yourself last. And it guarantees that investing never happens because there's never anything left. The psychology is straightforward. Expenses expand to fill available income, a principle called Parkinson's Law applied to finances. If your paycheck sits in checking, your brain treats the entire balance as available, and available money gets spent, not wastefully, but incrementally, through 100 small decisions that each feel reasonable. By month's end, the available balance is near zero and there's nothing to invest. The fix: pay yourself first. Move money to investments automatically on the day after payday, before a single bill is paid, before a single purchase is made. The money you never see is money you never spend. And the financial difference between paying yourself first and paying yourself last is approximately $295,000 over 20 years on just $400 per month. Same income, same expenses, different order of operations. The second habit, treating debt payments as investing. This one is subtle and incredibly common. You're making payments on your car, your student loans, maybe a credit card, and because you're sending hundreds of dollars per month to these payments, your brain categorizes the effort as financial progress. You feel like you're doing something productive with your money, but paying off debt isn't building wealth. It's recovering from past spending. When the debt is paid off, you have zero, not an asset, zero. And the years of payments produced nothing that grows. The danger is that debt payments consume the bandwidth and motivation that should go toward investing. You feel financially responsible because you're making payments. But payments don't compound. They don't grow. They don't build anything. They return you to neutral. And the habit of mistaking debt reduction for wealth building can delay actual investing by 5 to 10 years, which at $400 per month at 8% costs roughly $35,000 to $73,000 in missed compounding. The fix: invest simultaneously with debt payments, at least a small amount. Even $100 per month while paying off debt starts the compounding clock. Waiting until all debt is eliminated is the most expensive form of financial perfectionism. And this is the part most people miss. The third habit: using mental math instead of real math. You earn $60,000. You think you know what you can afford, but you're calculating in your head, rounding, estimating, approximating. And mental math has a well-documented optimism bias of 15 to 25%. You think you're spending $2,800 on essentials when you're actually spending $3,200. You think you have $400 in surplus when you actually have $0. And the $400 gap between perceived and actual spending is the exact amount that would change your financial trajectory if it were invested. Research from financial psychologist Brad Klontz found that people who track spending precisely using apps or spreadsheets save an average of 20% more than people who estimate. Not because tracking changes their spending habits, but because tracking eliminates the optimism bias that lets invisible spending flourish. The fix: track every dollar for 1 month, just one. The average person who does this discovers $250 to $500 per month in spending they didn't know existed. That discovery alone, without changing a single habit, is worth $295,000 to $590,000 over 30 years if the discovered surplus is invested. The fourth habit: optimizing the wrong expenses. You clip coupons. You comparison shop groceries. You drive to the cheaper gas station. And those behaviors save you maybe $50 to $80 per month. Meanwhile, you're paying $1,700 for an apartment when a $1,400 option exists 10 minutes further from downtown. You're paying $500 to $80 per month for a car when a paid-off $12,000 car would cost you $0. You're paying $180 for a phone plan when a $45 plan provides the same coverage. The habit is focusing on variable, small expenses while ignoring fixed, large expenses. And the math is brutal. Optimizing groceries saves $50 per month. Optimizing housing saves $300. Optimizing transportation saves $580. Optimizing your phone saves $135. The big three fixed expenses offer 10 to 20 times more savings potential than all your grocery coupons combined, but the brain gravitates towards small optimizations because they're visible, frequent, and emotionally satisfying, while large optimizations require a single uncomfortable decision that then runs quietly in the background. The fix: spend your optimization energy on your three largest expenses. 1 hour of housing comparison, 1 car decision, and 1 phone plan switch can save $1,015 per month. Invested at 8% for 20 years, that's over $600,000. No coupon in history has produced that return. The fifth habit: treating windfalls as bonuses. You get a tax refund, a bonus at work, a gift from a relative, an unexpected check, and your brain categorizes it as extra, money that exists outside your normal financial life. So you spend it differently than you'd spend your paycheck. The tax refund goes to a vacation, the bonus goes to electronics, the gift goes to a splurge. None of these feel extravagant because the money was extra. But extra money compounds exactly the same as regular money. A $3,000 tax refund invested at 8% for 25 years becomes approximately $20,500. A $5,000 bonus becomes $34,200. The habit of treating windfalls as play money instead of investment fuels cost the average American household $5,000 to $15,000 per year in redirected capital, which, over a lifetime of windfalls, represents hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost compounding. The fix: create a windfall rule before the windfall arrives. The rule I recommend: 50% of every windfall goes directly to investments. 30% goes to debt reduction. 20% goes to spending, guilt-free. This way, you enjoy the windfall without sacrificing the majority of its long-term value. But here's where it gets really interesting, because the next two habits are the ones that cost the most and get discussed the least. The sixth habit, lifestyle syncing with your peer group. Your friends go to a certain type of restaurant, they take a certain type of vacation, they drive a certain type of car, and without any conscious decision, your spending calibrates to match. Not because you're trying to keep up, but because human beings are social creatures who unconsciously mirror the financial behaviors of their closest relationships. Research from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia confirms that peer spending influences personal spending more than income growth does. The cost is enormous because it's continuous. You don't sync once, you sync constantly. At every dinner, every weekend, every group vacation, every shared activity, and the cumulative cost of financial peer syncing for someone in the $50,000 to $80,000 income range is approximately $200 to $500 per month, above what they'd spend independently. Over 30 years at 8%, that's $298,000 to $745,000 in lost wealth. The fix isn't finding new friends. That's both unrealistic and unnecessary. The fix is awareness. Once you recognize that your spending is calibrated to your peer group rather than to your own financial goals, you can consciously decouple the two. Choose which social spending genuinely enhances your life and which is unconscious synchronization. The first is worth every dollar. The second is a $745,000 leak. The seventh habit, financial avoidance. You don't check your accounts regularly. You don't know your net worth. You have a vague sense of your finances, but you avoid specifics because the specifics might be uncomfortable. And this avoidance, this turning away from the numbers, is the meta habit that enables all six habits above. Psychologists call this financial ostrich behavior, the tendency to avoid financial information when you expect the news to be bad. And the research shows that financial avoidance correlates more strongly with poor financial outcomes than any specific spending behavior. It's not what you spend that hurts you most. It's what you don't look at. The fix is a weekly 5-minute financial check. Every Sunday, or whatever day works, you spend 5 minutes looking at 4 numbers, checking balance, savings balance, investment balance, and total debt. That's it. No analysis, no optimization, just awareness. Research shows that this single practice reduces overspending by 15 to 20% and increases investment contributions by 10 to 15%. 5 minutes per week, the highest return time investment in personal finance. Now let me show you the combined cost, because each habit alone is expensive, but together they're devastating. Paying yourself last instead of first, $295,000 over 20 years. Delaying investing during debt payoff, $35,000 to $73,000. Mental math optimism bias, $295,000 to $590,000 over 30 years. Optimizing wrong expenses, $600,000 plus over 20 years. Windfall misallocation, hundreds of thousands over a lifetime. Peer syncing, $298,000 to $745,000 over 30 years. Financial avoidance amplifies every other cost by 15 to 20%. The habits don't just add up. They compound on each other, each one making the others worse, creating a reinforcing system that keeps wealth building permanently out of reach. But the reverse is also true. Fix one habit and the others become easier to fix. Start paying yourself first, and the avoidance decreases because there's positive progress to look at. Start tracking spending, and the peer syncing becomes visible. Optimize the big expenses, and there's surplus to redirect from windfalls. The 7 habits are a system, and breaking any single link weakens the entire chain. Here's what the shift looks like in your career. The person running all 7 bad habits negotiates from financial anxiety. They accept conditions they shouldn't because they need every paycheck. They avoid career risks because any disruption threatens their fragile balance. And they stay in roles that have plateaued because the financial stress makes change feel impossible. The person who has fixed even 3 or 4 of the 7 habits has a financial cushion that transforms career behavior. They negotiate their next raise with data and confidence. They pursue the promotion that involves relocation because they can fund the transition. They take the creative risk because the downside is manageable. And each better career decision feeds the financial system, which makes the next career decision even better. The flywheel spins. So here's what I want you to do. Read through the 7 habits. Identify the 2 or 3 that hit closest to home. And fix one of them this week. Not all 7. 1. Set up the automatic transfer. Track your spending for 30 days. Switch your phone plan. Create the Windfall rule. Whatever the one change is, make it structural, make it automated, and make it this week. Because 7 habits didn't form overnight. And they won't be fixed overnight. But each one you fix tilts the riverbed a little more in the right direction. And once the river is flowing the right way, it doesn't need pushing, it just flows. Fix the tilt and let the river do the rest.